So we're going to turn those on, and what this is going to do is let me change the tempo and just start working with this similar to how it would work in Ableton. And so we know we've confirmed that this is the same 8-bar loop. We're at the correct tempo. We're going to switch a little toggle over here in the lower left of the track box, and I'll make this larger so you can kind of see better. We'll put the large mode. And so we're going to click here on this light blue box, and you're going to see samples and ticks. And in general, like basically ticks will follow the tempo. When it's in samples mode, the audio regions will just remain completely as they are. And so I can demonstrate this. If we remain in sample mode and I change the tempo here, we're going to go to 150. Right, so we can see the grid moved and readjusted, but this audio region is still the same. You know, it did not move. And so we'll undo, and you can see the grid shifted, but the audio file did not. And so the overall effect of that, if I go back to 150 and I hit play and listen to my click, right, out of sync, out of time. And so this is going to be not great for us because we won't be able to work quickly in terms of arrangement and moving things around. So we're going to put this in tick mode. And what this would do if this was a MIDI track, that would be all we need to do. And most MIDI tracks and instrument tracks are in tick mode by default. What it means is that MIDI tracks would automatically stretch to the tempo. So it can take that MIDI data and automatically just reapply it to the new tempo, and it all stays in time. We need to do one more step so that this is achievable with an audio file. So we'll go here next to this button that we just clicked with ticks, and we're going to click on the little hourglass here. And you might see some different options here. We're on the Pro Tools Ultimate version. All Pro Tools versions will have the polyphonic version, and for most things, if you're not sure, just pick polyphonic. Elastic Pro is one of the more newer algorithms and versions that sounds quite a bit better, and I believe is only available in Pro Tools Ultimate. Xform is a post-render. The first two options we just described, polyphonic and Elastic Pro, are in real time, meaning that you can just make changes and edits to this just as you would normally in the session, and it's just going to auto update and keep doing its thing. If you're in Xform, it is going to render it in post, and it's going to require a little bit of time to process it every time you edit that file. So if you put a little break in it, it's going to need to reanalyze it. If you nudge it, it's going to need to reanalyze it. So this is the highest quality you're going to get, but it's the least amount of workflow functionality. And so I would avoid using that unless you're in a scenario with a client that demands the absolute utmost fidelity and doesn't care about the workflow hindrance. So we'll turn on Elastic Pro. And so basically that's it. Those two steps. We're going to go to tick mode, and we're going to put on Elastic Pro or polyphonic. And this elastic time feature in Pro Tools is really amazing. So now if you look over here and we go to our tempo, and we're going to change to 150 again, now our tempo, our file follows it. And so what we can do now is listen with our click. Perfectly in time. And so what this allows us is a more Ableton-like environment where we can just, with less steps, move more freely and make these tempo changes automatically on the fly. These algorithms sound great. In the past, again, if you're a user maybe from the older era like I am, you remember when this stuff was very destructive to audio. We don't so much live in that era, and so you can really feel free, especially for stuff on a track or for beat making. This is absolutely valid to have on. Just keep in mind that the further you stretch it, the more the effect is going to come into play. So if you just only move a couple BPM, that's not a huge deal. If you move like 20, 30 BPM like I just did, that's going to cause quite a stretch. But if you listen, we're actually not that far off from the original. So we'll listen to this is the original tempo, and so no time stretch is being applied. Cool. And so we're going to go to 150 and just kind of listen to the difference. Right. So, I mean, pretty close. I'm sure we could get in there and really pick apart the difference, but functionally, this is going to be great.